Hey, it's Richard with PreSonus. You know, one of the biggest compliments we get on the StudioLive Series III is the Fat Channel section. It's intuitive, easy to use, and extremely powerful. Well, here's my friend Jeff Sandstrom with MxU to show us a little bit of an overview of just how it works.
You can basically see your input source in this section. So we're playing back multi-track recordings from a DAW, and so that's connected to the console via USB. So we've got our USB input for this selected channel. If it was an analog stage rack, for example, whatever your patching is in your setup screen, it would either show up here as analog, network, USB, or SD card, but it's an easy way to see how it's connected and what that connection is. Then we've got our phantom power, so this is where you would control whether or not the input needs phantom power. Polarity switch to basically affect the phase relationship between two channels. This is your bus assignment, so basically you'll know here if you're assigned to the main left-right output or a subgroup. If you want to link two channels, you can link channels that are in stereo pairs, basically in consecutive order. So you can link 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, etc., through that link button. And then these presets here, you can basically either load or save presets or copy a channel preset to paste to another channel. So pretty flexible here in terms of just the button functionality. And then moving up from there is where we select what the knobs and encoders and the screen is going to show. So we can basically see the overall input strip, which includes the preamp gain, the pan, and then simple threshold for our gate and our compressor, high-pass filter, and then 3 bands of the EQ. So it's basically a general sort of overview of the input. But then if we want to dig down deeper into any of those parameters, you could select gate, and then our gate parameters would come up here, and the screen changes to what the gate parameters are as well. Same with compression. If we want to dig a little deeper, sort of the fat version of what the compressor is doing, you just hit the comp button here, and then your compressor settings show up here. And the cool thing is you can either control those from the knobs or from the touch and turn knob on the screen. So you have some flexibility on which workflow you feel better about or more comfortable with. So if you're into sort of knobs and dials, you can do it over here. If you want to see the representation of it and just use touch and turn, you can do that on the screen as well. And then EQ, similarly, you'll see all 4 bands of your parametric EQ, and they're represented here on these knobs at the top. So if you want to adjust your low frequency, you just select that, and you can either raise or lower the gain with the touch and turn knob, or your low gain knob is here, the first one. You can either do it on the screen or here, whichever is most comfortable. And then to basically adjust your frequency, you would just turn that second knob, and then the same with your low mid band. So knob number 2 or band number 2, you could just adjust there or select it here and use the touch and turn. So basically the fat channel is a blown out version of whichever channel is selected on your faders, and you have what they would call a fat version of all the parameters associated with that channel. And then here you've also got Aux Send, so you can see very quickly how your auxes from that channel are being sent. So you can either control it by, the mix function where your faders would control aux sends, or if you're in the middle of a mix and you can't access those faders because you're trying to manage the faders that are going to your mains, it's easy to get to your auxes here and have independent control of those auxes and still have your faders in front of you. So that's a powerful feature as well. And then lastly, there's a user button. So there are a lot of parameters that you can assign to both the encoders and the buttons. So let's say, for example, that I want my first encoder 1, to be my pan. So I can just select that very easily. And then if I want to go to the next one, I'll just click the second button and encoder 2 shows up. So let's say I wanted my second encoder to be something else. So let's see, I can go down and maybe I want the second encoder to be, my sends for effects A. So I can just select that button, and then my effects A send shows up on that encoder. Same with the buttons. So if I want the button for encoder 2 to be something different, then I can make it, I don't know, let's see what we've got here. Maybe we want it to be our low shelf control for our EQ. So now all of a sudden that button turns on and off the low shelf. So it's very flexible. You can set any of those parameters to the way your workflow would need it to be. For the EQ section, there's also this EQ and Dynamics both have this A-B switch. So if you're trying to compare two different settings, you could just click the A-B button and it would toggle between two different EQs or Dynamics settings that you might have.
Special thanks to Jeff and the team at MxU for their partnership. As you just saw, the Series 3 Fat Channel section is incredibly useful. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.